guys, it's ProdigyRex here back with another video, and today we will be reading Lunch Money Chapter 7. So let's begin. Chapter 7, Order and Chaos. Ashwood Intermediate School was a big outfit, and when you put 450 kids, mostly between the age of 9 and 12, under one roof, a certain amount of club and clutter is normal. Therefore, Room 27 was not normal. Room 27 at Ashwood School was never messy, never loud. Room 27 at Ashwood School was always like a peaceful island, an oasis of order and calm. That's because the small kingdom known as Room 27 was controlled by Mr. Anthony Xenotopoulos. For obvious reasons, was simply known as Mr. Z. Mr. Z was a man of average size, except perhaps for his head, which seemed a bit too large for his body, but that might have been an optical illusion caused by the burst of black and gray hair spiraling out of 1 or 2 inches in all directions. Apart from his unruly hair, Mr. Z dressed neatly, but not formally. He wore a coat and tie only for the end-of-year assembly. The rest of the time he wore khakis or corduroys and loose-fitting collared shirts, carefully ironed. He had piercing dark eyes and a bright smile, which made it harder to notice the large nose that lived between them. Mr. Z taught 6th graders, and his kingdom mathematics ruled. Everything about his room, including its legendary calmness, was a function of math. Mr. Z did not just teach 6th grade math, he lived math. He breathed and ate and slept and dreamed math. His wife taught geometry at the high school, so you can even say he married math. Plus, their only son was an engineering major at the state university. For Mr. Z, math was the source of all was beautiful, good, and true. Math controlled the orbits of the planets, always in perfect stressless balance. Math was frictionless. Math supplied the principles that set rockets past the moon and helped Beethoven create his symphonies. Mr. Z believed that even the smile of the Mona Lisa, like the spiral of the chamber nautilus, could be expressed as a ratio, a delicate set of numbers. The alarm clock, the thermometer, the calculator, the digital watch on his wrist, and the altimeter in his car, and the test and quiz scores of his students. These were the projection boards he lived by. These gave him the numbers he lived by. He woke up every day at 6:15, school or no school. Channel 7's weather forecast was the most accurate. He had done a 3-year study himself. So a predicted high temperature of 70 degrees or warmer equals khaki pants and a short plus a short seat, so 69 degrees or below equals corduroys and long sleeves, and for a high temperature of 40 degrees or lower, plus 1 sweater. Mr. Z put his heavy down coat on storage on March 1st and got it out again on October 1st. He had an appointment at the barbershop every 3rd Thursday at 4:15 p.m. He changed the oil in his white Toyota Camry every 5,500 miles, and when the odometer reached 110,000 miles, the 20th oil change, he and his wife began shopping for a new Camry. Why Camry? Math. The Camry was the car that cost the least amount of dollars, had the most features he could afford, and had the fewest service problems. Why white? Again, math. White was the color that kept the temperature of the car lowest in the summer, which, when running the air conditioner, which means buy more gas and gain fewer miles per gallon. There are 185 school days per year, and Mr. Z spent 55 minutes in each class period. Mr. Z wrote the number of remaining minutes of math class remaining on the board at the start of each school day, beginning at 10,175. Quiz scores counted once and test scores counted twice. Grade percentages were calculated out to 3 decimal places, then rounded up. An argument of grades was pointless. Numbers never lied. Mr. Z had a sense of humor, but it was a mathematical sense of humor. He wasn't witty or clever, but he had an almost endless supply of math puns. What did the triangle say to the circle? Your life seems so pointless. What did the 90-degree angle say to the 91-degree angle? Don't be obtuse. What did the plus sign say to the minus sign? You're always so negative. Why did the rectangle equilateral like jazz? He was a square, and so was Mr. Z. If Mr. Z seemed stiff or set in his ways or rigid in his views, that was a function of math as well. In math, there are fixed rules. In math, it involved pure operations that require no bending work, no guesswork, no incremental adjustments, only the glide and flow of intelligence. There are always answers, right answers, and it was possible to understand exactly what was right about them. And that is why Mr. Z loved the math. Loved. Not liked, not enjoyed, not appreciated. Loved. He loved thinking about math. He loved using it. And most of all, he loved teaching it. Math was perfect. Math clarified the jumbled mind and disciplined the untidy lives of his students. So many things changed constantly. Politics, the price of weather, the price of energy, the cover of Time magazine, not math. And as he told his students now and forever, 2 plus 2 will always equal 4 every single day. But on this particular day, with 9,790 minutes of math class remaining in 6th grade year, Greg came stomping into the orderly room of room 27 in a head full of chaos. He walked straight over to Marsha and slapped the insy-binsy book down on his desk, and through clenched teeth he said, "Nice rip-off. You're such a thief. You stole my idea and you know it, so stop it now." Mara jumped up nose to nose with Greg. "Oh, sure, like you invented paper drawings and words. You, right? Just, anyone can make anything they want, and sell stuff too. It's a free country, like for over 200 years, or haven't you heard?" Mr. Z, he looked up from his grade book, started sternly in aisle 4. He got to his feet. Speaking as he moved, he was in the scene in 3 seconds. All right there. Easy does it. Greg, lower your voice. Mara, you too. And sit down. What's this about? Simple. Greg opened his pencil case and said, "I started making these great low-kind books, and now she's ripping me off with a stupid imitation. It's like she's stealing money right out of my pocket." He pointed at the unicorn book on her desk. "That's what this is about." Mara shook her head. "What's it about? It's like you're a greedy little money grabber. Just like, oh, it's mine. That's all you ever care about." "That's a lie." "All right," said Mr. Z. "Calm down," but Mara's on his feet again. "It's true, and poor little Greg can't stand it when someone else has a good idea." Greg snorted and grabbed the insy-binsy book. "Yeah, like this is a good idea. You know what this is? Garbage. Cheap, stupid garbage, just like you." And Greg ripped the front cover off the lost unicorn and threw it at Mara's face. "Both of you, just stop it. Stop it." It was like Mr. Z had disappeared. All Mara could see as her little book and Greg began tearing off another page. "Give me that!" She swung her right arm to grab for it, and Greg yanked the book up above his head. And when Mara's hand followed with the moving book, the bottom 3 knuckles of connected with a sharp crack against the left side of Greg's nose. Greg's mouth dropped open. So did Mr. Z's and Mara's. There was a half second of stunned silence. Then, "Ow!" Greg clutched his nose, which began to bleed, dripping onto Mara's desk. Room 27, usually quieter than Larry, flashed to life. "Did you see that? What? Where?" "Mara! She pounded him! No way! Oh, look at his nose! All blood!" And amidst all the other noise, Mara screamed out, Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Really, I didn't." Mr. Z wanted to take charge. He wanted to quiet the room, calm Mara, and get Greg to the nurse. But there was blood. Numbers never bleed, which Mr. Z believed was one of their best qualities. But just the word blood was enough to make him start looking for a chair and sit and put down his head between his knees. Mr. Z turned away from Greg, already his face woozy and his face going gray. But as he slumped into the nearest desk, swallowing hard, he managed to say, "Mara, please help Greg to the nurse. I'll be here." Mara rushed up to the front of the room, yanked 5 or 6 tissues off the box of Mr. Z's desk. "Hurry over to Greg. Here, Greg accepted the tissues, but when Marv took his elbow and began steering him towards the hallway, he jerked his hand free and made his own way out the door. It was bad enough he just got a bloody nose from a girl. No way he was going to let that same girl turn around and help him. Marv stopped on the doorway of the nurse's office, and Mrs. Emmett took charge. Sitting Greg on the black velvet cloth, she pulled up a cold pack for the cabinet and smacked it 3 or 4 times to activate the crystals. She pulled up a pair of plain green gloves and took a paper towel. Then she got it wet at the sink and began to clean up Greg's face. Leaning forward, the nurse took the old pack and washcloth off and pressed the cold pack gently across Greg's face. Mrs. Emily said how this happened. It would be so easy for Greg to lift his bloody hand and point a crimson finger at Mara. Mara did this. She slugged me right in the nose, hard. He could have yelled so loud that the principal across the hall would have heard him. But he didn't. He mumbled, "It was an accident. Someone grabbed something and I got in the way." The nurse lifted the cold pack and touched Greg's nose carefully with his gloved fingers. He flinched. Mrs. Emily said, "It's not broken, but you're going to have a black eye, a real prize winner. You need to stay here till I'm sure the bleeding has stopped." She pressed the cold pack against Greg's face. Put your left hand here. Press. Not too hard. Greg did what he was told. Turning to the doorway, Mrs. Emmett said, "Mara, did any blood get on you?" Mara shook her head and looked around her front, and she shook her head. "Anywhere else?" Asked the nurse. "Where did this happen?" In Mr. Z's room. "Some drops got on the desk, maybe before." Mrs. Emlet said, "I send the custodian with disinfectant. You should get back to class now." Mara hesitated. It was nice that Greg hadn't blamed her. She wanted to list Turner and nodded thanks, but Greg kept his eyes shut. So Mara turned and left. Miss Emily said, "Greg, I have to go find the custodian. You can lean back on those pillows, but stay here, okay?" And she was gone. The whole side of Greg's face throbbed as he eased himself back. Great, a black eye from a girl. What I always wanted. What Mara had said in Mr. Z's room came back to him. "You're a greedy little money grabber, just like always." Those words hurt worse than nose. His brothers had been calling him stangy and greedy for years, and is this what they all think? That I'm a money grabber? Everyone wants a lot of money, right? What's wrong with that? Can I help it? If I have good ideas and I'm willing to work, there's nothing wrong about that. Greg became aware that was something that was clutched in his right hand. He blotted up where he could see. It was the wad of bloody tissues and something else. Mara's mini book, The Last Unicorn. The front page was half gone, and some wrinkled page was streaked with blood, illustrated in living color. Greg thought that made him smile, which forced a sharp pain through his nose and left eye. He got his book into focus, only using his right hand, and began to turn the pages. Greg could tell right away that it wasn't his kind of story, which did not seem as a surprise. It was about a young unicorn that had gotten lost. Also not a surprise. At first the unicorn was terrified, and then she remembered what her mother and father were told. If you ever have a problem, find someone else with a bigger problem, and then offer to help. Do this and your worries will disappear. So the unicorn looked for something to help and found a princess who had been kidnapped, locked in a tower by a wicked ogre. The unicorn used her horn to chop down a tree which leaned against the tower to give the princess a way to escape. The unicorn gave the princess a ride back to her mother's castle. The queen was so happy to have her daughter back, and she asked 10 of her best knights to help the unicorn find her way home, and then they lived happily ever after. Even though it seemed like a lame story to Greg had to admit that the writing was good and the artwork wasn't bad either. It was actually a tiny picture book, not at all like a comic book. Each of my pages took up a whole page. There was no sequence balloons, no page grids, no speech balloons like comics have. Still, the drawings were good, and Mara had drawn on vines and flowers across the borders of each page. Bringing the tiny book closer to his good eye, Greg blinked. Then he smudged his finger on the page. The dark gray lines smudged and smeared. He could not believe it. What he was seeing. This is the original artwork. Maura is drawing every book by hand and putting them together one at a time. No wonder she went nuts when he started ripping up this one. Leaning his head close to both eyes, Greg smiled. He just made an important discovery. This meant that Maura did not know how to mass produce her books. It meant she only made 4 or 5 of them tops. And that meant her, at her current skill level as a main book producer, she was only messing around, hardly a serious competitor. Maura had been in the minors leagues. As his business mind clicked away, Greg saw the future go bright again. With so many kids buying his chunky comics, he could make tons of money. He would have to start getting the print professionally. He had to hire a staff artist to keep up with increasing demand. Maybe rent a building or buy one. He started websites, started selling to the major comic book distributors too. He would have to open branch offices in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Hong Kong, and London too. Chunky Comics International. He'll be so rich he'll have a different limit for each day of the week. With a comic book here printed on the hood. Bling! Greg sat up completely fuddled. He blinked, the coat back lay on his heart. His head hurt, and he was in the cot in the nurse's office. Then the memories of the day came tumbling back into his memory. He had been sound asleep. Miss Emily smiled at him from his desk. Feeling better? Yeah, a little. Greg leaned up, reaching for his coat back, but then he made himself sit up. Actually, I feel a lot better. So, I guess I should get back to my next class. Greg had work to do. One more class period, and Thursday would be history. He had comics to sell. Mark came to the doorway. Hey, I brought your backpack and your pencil case. Your face looks better. Greg didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. Mark said, are you going to class? Greg nodded. Mrs. Emmett, can I? She nodded. You'll be fine, but if you feel uncomfortable, come back, all right? Okay. Greg stood up and walked to the door. Thanks. You're welcome. Mark gave Greg his things and swung his backpack onto one shoulder. He tucked his pencil case under the other arm. He headed down the long hallway towards the gym. Mara turned and walked beside him. So, she said, you got gym now? Nope. Greg picked up his pace. Mara matched him step for step. Language arts? No, art. Greg walked so fast that Mara almost had to try to keep up with him. Hey, before I forget, you have to go to Mr. Z's room after school. Still walking, Greg glared at her. How come? He wants to talk to you and me about what happened. Great, said Greg. I'll be late for soccer. Mar said, should you go running around today? I mean, with your eye and everything? Greg stopped short and swung to her face. Look, it's none of your business. So it's just a little poke in the nose. All right, I'm okay, and I don't need you to tell me what to do. Fine, said Mar. I don't care. Good. I don't care if you don't care. So go away. Don't worry here. And push the coin into his hand. This is yours. What's for? One of your comics, the recorder. What, you sold it? No, I bought one. You? That's right. Any Samar stalking out a tree? Any law against it? No, said Greg, but why? That's a stupid question. I read in math. It's good. Create pride, won a small victory or ill temper. Greg smiled. You really? You liked it? Mar nodded. Yeah, it was okay, but the bell rang. Oops, I can't be late. Mar dashed off and dashed for class. But what? Well, Greg called after her. Later, she called back. Greg thought later. Oh yeah, because we had to go see Mr. Z. The art room was closed, and Greg had to forgot Mom's comments and about his comic book. He had to finish a wire sculpture. The thing was due Monday, and it was going to take a small miracle to get done on time. Still, that did not keep Greg from selling 3 more copies of Return of the Hunter before the end of art class. And that's the end of chapter 7. Make sure you enjoy and smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell for more lunch money. Bye, and have a good day.